bangers for February, because the unhingedness of like the male main characters is definitely like trickling over to that of like the female main character. Like a famous rapper calls your phone number, you've never officially like met them, you did not give them your phone number, they call you and they're like, hey, let's be friends. Okay. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing my February reading wrap up. Yes, your girl is back doing her reading wrap ups. This month I read 8 books. I am proud of myself for doing what I need to do as far as like keeping up with my reading and like sewing into myself and taking care of myself with continuously reading, even though like I have conflicting priorities. But I'm really happy with the books that I read. No duds. Okay, maybe like one little bit. I wouldn't call it a dud, but it didn't hit the way that I thought it was going to hit. But other than that, bangers for February. Like I picked some good reads, and I normally like gravitate towards Black stories, but definitely in the month of February I prioritized reading Black authors. So all the books that I read in February were by Black authors, and it was a great time. It was a great time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get right into it. But first I want to say thank you guys so much for clicking on this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate you guys so much for subscribing, and if you haven't already, please consider doing so before moving on. And I want to let you guys know that the style that I do my reading wrap-ups is I'll try to like review the books in like 3 words or phrases and just make it like really quick because I am a chatty Cathy. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Got my little notebook here with my notes. First up, and I also go by like my least rated book to my highest rated book. So first I have Rosewater by Liv Little, and I rated this one 3 stars, so it's mid. I won't call it a dud, but it's very mid for me. The words that I have for this are artistic, flawed, and friendship. So this is a sapphic romance. It starts out with the main character, Elsie, who is kind of going through a rough patch in her, like her career and in her like personal life. So she leans on a friend of hers who I think they have like had they've crossed that line before in their friendship, and Elsie kind of pulled away, but they're just trying to like repair their situation, and they end up moving in together. Well, Elsie moves in with her friend Juliet, her best friend since childhood, and they move in, and it just kind of goes from there. I won't give you too much about it, but it's very artistic. Elsie is a writer. She is very expressive. They have some poems in here from her. They're very beautiful. They're definitely flawed characters, both Elsie and Juliet, and literally everybody that's mentioned in this is very flawed. And then it definitely focuses a lot on their friendship. It was mid to me. I can't quite put my finger on why. It kind of felt like a slice of life, which depending on my mood, like I like it and I don't like it, because I feel like where is this kind of going. The ending, while it wrapped things up, it did leave something to be desired. The next book that I have is Assist by Alexandria House. I rated this one 3.5 stars, and the 3 words I have for this are, or 3 phrases rather, random love, craving love, and familial love. So this is about this is the 3rd book in the series. The other 2 books I read in January, so I'm not mentioning them here, but I did talk about them in another video. I'll link it down below. But this follows a hockey player. His name is, it doesn't even say on the back, and of course I done forgot, but he's a hockey player for a team that the female main character is a owner for. She's also like a rapper, a female rapper, whatever. And it is, when I say random love, like they just met randomly, and then she like calls him, and she's like, she didn't ask for his number, but she has his phone number. She calls him and she's like, hey, I'm Susie. Can't remember her name. I'm Susie. You know what? Let me not do that. His name is Orlando. Her name is Ishmia. Ha. Hey, I'm Ishmia or whatever. And he's like, what? Like, how'd you get my phone number? She's like, I want to be friends. And he's like, okay. Like, I want to be your friend. How'd you get my phone number? Like, it's mad weird. Like, think about it. Outside of the context of a book, like, a famous rapper calls your phone number. You've never officially, like, met them. You did not give them your phone number. They call you and they're like, hey, let's be friends. Okay. But eventually, things go from there as far as them, like, keeping in contact and whatnot. Then I said craving love because the male main character, Orlando, was given up for adoption as a child. He was adopted by a wonderful, wonderful lady. He absolutely loves her, and, like, he didn't have, like, a traumatic upbringing at all, but I feel like being adopted, like, I can definitely understand, like, a sense of abandonment or wanting, like, family, like, that you're blood related to. And that was his thing. Like, he doesn't know anyone that he's related to. He doesn't have, like, a blood relative family. And it definitely, speaking of which, talks a lot about familial love and, like, what that means and, like, how impactful it can be. And I really, really liked it. I rated it 3.5 stars. Next, I have Product of the Street. I read book 1, 2, and 3. The first book I rated 3.5 stars. The second and the third book I rated 4 stars, just because I was, like, way more into the story. But it's so juicy. It's so, like, oh, let me tell you the 3 words. Girl, I didn't even put 3 words. Okay, I'll just think from off the top of my head. Juicy, unfreaking hinged, and what else? Influential. Influential, because the unhingedness of, like, the male main characters is definitely, like, trickling over to that of, like, the female main characters, and they're like, why do I like this? Why am I okay with this? Like, why am I, like, trying to be on that type of time too? Like, this is kind of crazy, but I am living for it. Like, when I finish that series, I'm gonna give you guys, like, a full, like, total review, like, wrap up of it, but because I keep talking about it, but it's so good. It's by E. Bowser, if I didn't say. I'll put it on the screen, obviously. The next book that I have is One True Loves by Elise Bryant. I rated this one 4.5 stars, and the 3 words I have for this are relative to teenage me. Like, so relatable. So relatable to me, and I know that probably doesn't mean anything to you because, like, you didn't know teenage me. Probably maybe a handful of you know teenage me, but it was so good. Lenore is the female main character. She goes on a cruise, a 2-week cruise, mind you. 2 weeks is a long time to be on a boat, but they, like, stop and get off and, you know, explore and all that types of stuff. But still, it's a long time. Anyways, her and her family go on this 2-week cruise, and her parents find out, before they go on the cruise, they find out that Lenore is not as sure as they would love for her to be about her college major when she goes to NYU in the fall. And they're like, you need to know for sure what you're gonna do with the rest of your life by the time this cruise is up. So get it together. And she has this, like, in the back of her mind while she's, like, just trying to figure out herself. Like, she wants to do that for herself, but also, like, having the pressure of your family. And she's definitely like a people pleaser in a way. Like, she doesn't want to disappoint anybody. Like, she doesn't want to be, like, the oddball or whatever. She very much, like, tries to be her best and present her best, and, like, her parents, it seemed like it's not good enough. Like, and she's a middle child too. So it is a very enlightening book. It's a very comforting book for me personally, because I said I find it so relatable. There is, like, a love interest in it, and he's very, very kind. I feel like the male main character in this book is a little bit mature. I mean, yes, he's 18 and he's very, like, goal oriented and, like, goal focused, but I just feel like he is a little bit mature to be an 18-year-old. Not that I'm expecting him to be, like, a goofy goof, but he could have been, like, 29, you know? Like, you could have said he was 29 and I would have believed it because of just his maturity. Did I say mature already? Anyways, I loved it, just personally for me. And I do have this and another book, the last book that I'll talk about, in a reading vlog. And I'll link that down below too if you want to know like more of my thoughts or like more about what the book is about. Also, the reviews on my Goodreads, Storygraph, and Fable. Also linked down below. Okay, the next book that I have is Chaos Theory by Nick Stone. I rated this one 5 stars, and the 3 words I have for this, or phrases, are actually, it's more than 3 words and phrases. I have mental health, grief, friendship, and family. And I'm actually going to read to you what I wrote on my review for this book because I loved it so much. So I put 5 stars. This was such a powerful book. It focuses heavily on mental health, grief, friendship, and family. It was so incredibly moving and heartfelt. I cried 3 times. 3. The book is 277 pages long and I cried 3 times. I'm sure that's a record. I read this book in one sitting. I felt so connected to both the main characters. I empathized with their feelings and their fears. I loved the budding friends to lovers plotline. It was just so pure and perfect. There were quite a few hard topics discussed in this book, but they were handled so well. It is YA, and I think the delivery fitting for a high schooler, but still impactful enough for an older reader like myself. No notes. And that's all I want to say about that one. Definitely recommend. All right, and then the last book that I'm going to talk about is also the last book that I read of the month. It's the favorite book that I read of the month, and it is T. Williams' The Perfect Find. The 3 words I have for this are hilarious, swoony, and cozy. I rated this one 5 stars. This is also in the reading vlog with One True Loves by Elise Bryant. I thought this book was freaking hilarious. I was cackling. Like, I took this book with me when I went to go get my hair done, and I was giggling out loud, like in front of people. Like, I just couldn't help myself. Like, I listened to some of this in the car. I'm cracking up in the car because of the audio book, like the narrator for this and the audio did such a great job. I think, oh gosh, let me see. Was it Wesley Shaban? Is that the person who narrated this one? Wesley Shaban. I love her. She's probably my favorite female audiobook narrator for sure. And that definitely contributed to like how funny this book was. Not traumatic at all. There's no like traumatic storyline, or like it's not a heavy, like a deep book at all. There is a little bit of like, I won't say conflict, but like reflection on like, oh, this happened in my childhood type of deal. But to me, like for me, it wasn't like heart-wrenching, heartbreaking. It was like, dang, like I'm sorry you went through that, you know, like hopefully it doesn't make me insensitive if you've read it. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I have a bruise on my leg. Don't know how I got there, but anyway, I love this book. I laughed, I cried, I clutched the book to my chest. Like, it was so freaking good, and I certainly recommend anything Tia Williams writes. She is somebody who I would actually read their grocery list, like anything. So yes, thank you so much for watching. That's all I have for my February wrap up. If you like the style of video, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll do more in the future in this style. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so before moving on, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.